Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal, a production channel for YouTube, and welcome to another Wednesday review. Today I am reviewing the debut full-length album from a Canadian heavy metal band, Lycanthro, and it's titled Mark of the Wolf, which was released on both May 18th of this year through Alone Records, and then independently, digitally on June 4th of this year. So, Lycanthro, again, they are based out of Canada. They're being Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and were originally formed as Death Wish back in 2014, but then changed their name to 2016, probably because of the still not to be completely confused with at least the countless of other bands that went under the name Death Wish, including the British thrash metal band. So they changed their name to Lycanthro in 2016, and then a year later, after they had changed their name, they released a self-titled demo in 2017, and then an EP in 2018 titled Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Then, of course, this year releasing their first single for their upcoming album, Mark of the Wolf, titled Crucible. And then finally, after the album had been released, they released Evangelion. So, let's just get right into my thoughts on Mark of the Wolf, the debut full-length album from Canada's Lycanthro. Alright, so, before I really get into any of my thoughts on this album, you know what I have to do. I have to at least do a track listing rundown so I can tell you folks what are the songs on this album and how many songs are on this album, and also what is the time length for this album. And since we have at least about 8 songs on this album, and the time length here is at least, it clocks in around 43 minutes and 3 seconds. So, these 8 songs are Crucible, Fallen Angel's Prayer, the title track, Enchantress, In Metal We Trust, Into Oblivion, Ride the Dragon, and then finally ending with the very last single after this album, Evangelion. So there we go, that rounds out the album here. There's your 8 songs. Alright. Since I was never familiar with Lycanthro, maybe I might have seen one of their artworks, maybe for their EP back in 2018 on Bandcamp. I don't know. But either way, I remember seeing their, at least maybe, but again, nothing really rings a bell right now. Nothing is really coming to me right now, you know? So, really, there's a chance I might have heard of them earlier on, but there's also a very good chance that I might have overlooked these guys, and that's where I'm really kind of falling towards, is at least the meter needle is at least really moving towards the later part where it's like, I think I just really overlooked these guys, because, again, I really stumbled across this album on, well, the New Wave or Traditional Heavy Metal Full Albums channel on YouTube, since he always uploads a lot of full, at least the actual full album uploads onto YouTube basically as one video, so the whole entire album onto YouTube as one video. So I saw the artwork and everything, I said, you know what, this looks kind of cool. Let me see how these guys sound. And so that's where I did, and I really have to be honest, what I really heard for the most part on this album is definitely good quality, modern day, traditional heavy metal. I mean, I can make a lot of comparisons to either, Canada's Striker, and even I can even make some comparisons to even like Lizzie Borden, especially within the song Fallen Angel's Prayer, which I'll definitely talk a little bit about here. Them, and I know I can also make so many comparisons, even at times, Sabotage as well, or is it Sabotage? I think it's one of those ways. I think it's the preferred way to at least pronounce the name Sabotage. Again, a classic U.S. metal band. So I can make a lot of comparisons to even, again, plenty of U.S. power metal bands. You know, what is it? Right, Oliver Magnum. I can't remember their fucking name, but I think I know I reviewed one of their albums. Again, I can make comparisons to these kind of bands, or early Flotsman Jetsam. But again, not nearly as thrashy as that. You know, again, it does have a very power metal sound to it, like more old school power metal from the 1980s, from especially with the US stuff. So again, I can make a lot of comparisons to those kind of bands, and that's really what I get, but I definitely get a lot of Lizzie Borden influences on this one. definitely within like Love You to Pieces and fucking just any, or maybe Master of the Skies. I can make a lot of, really a combination of some of those albums here I really can compare to, and it's definitely, it's just still quality heavy metal. That's what this is. It's still a very quality heavy metal album with a lot of great razor sharp riffs. Everything cuts like a straight razor with a lot of these riffs. It still is just, everything's great. Again, from the opening track, Crucible, which is it is the longest song on the album because it clocks in at 7 minutes and 17 seconds. And in the way it begins, it almost begins like something you would have expected from at least No Prayer for the Dying or Fear of the Darks or era Iron Maiden. But but it doesn't last very long, because when it does get into the actual track, it doesn't sound like anything off of those two albums. So if you kind of felt afraid there, well, you don't have to worry any further, because of what you then end up getting afterwards is definitely some exciting fucking metal. And that's where really what just grabbed me. It grabbed me by the jugular by hearing some of these riffs during it. So like I'm just sucked into the actual album. So it's like I wanted to really hear what was coming up next. You know, what is the next song going to sound? That's where you end up getting a lot of just great quality heavy metal stuff, especially with like the title track or Enchantress and In Metal We Trust, which obviously the title alone should tell you what you're in for. Again, just straight up quality heavy metal. Then Into Oblivion has a great fucking riff there. Just great stuff. Then Ride the Dragon is another fantastic track. And of course, ending with Evangelion. But this definitely, since now we're here, since speaking of Evangelion, I do have to also then go into the second track on the album, which is Fallen Angel's Prayer. This one's interesting because of, as it starts out, it's still very heavy, but it's got a different pace going on. It's not nearly as, straight to the bone, just straight up, a foot on the gas pedal style metal riffage or pacing. It still has a nice pace going on here, but it's a little bit mid-pace in some cases. But the thing that I want to bring up, though, and it's one of those that really kind of took me by surprise on first listen, though. It's like, while I definitely gave a lot of praises, at least, I definitely said there's a lot of great riffs on this album. It's still got a lot of quality heavy metal. But at times, they are not afraid of kind of pushing the just the envelope a little bit in terms of really testing the listeners' tastes and so on. They do kind of, I wouldn't say experiment, but they definitely try something different. This is where I'll make a lot of the comparisons to like Master of the Skies album from Lizzie Borden, or just Lizzie Borden in general, and then of course Sabotage, because in the middle of Fallen Angel's Prayer, everything comes to a complete different pace, different style. It goes into more of a very almost melancholic, soft piano-based ballad. And this is where I almost, at first, I was like trying to think whoever did this before. And especially with the very clean, very melodic vocals, which are great vocals, though. The guy can sing, obviously. He definitely is a great singer. And so he really suits this great. He definitely has the best suitable voice for this sort of part in this track. But it's so different. It was something I did not expect within the actual middle of the song. But it doesn't last for much long, because then all of a sudden it goes very operatic. This is where I'll make a lot of comparison to like gutter ballet era Sabotage. Very rock opera-ish. And it's so different. It's like a very, very combination between Lizzie Borden and Sabotage. So it's a unique mixture between very rock opera ballad-like and with just straight up, straight to the kick to the pedal fucking heavy metal. It's so different. It's not something I would have ever expected. But it took me by surprise, and I can't be mad. Then I thought this, like, so is this the only sort of ballady kind of thing within the actual album? No, because then it ends with Evangelion, which begins very much with the sort of piano bass. So this one's a lot more kind of melancholic, a little more, I wouldn't say brooding, but it's more, just a little, I wouldn't say sad, but it just kind of starts that way, and then it builds into a straight up, sort of very slow mid-pace metal track. So they definitely, they do kind of switch around the sort of variety and the pacing with some of these songs. Obviously they had some ideas. So they definitely got something interesting here, and it's different. They try something new. So it's like, again, for the most part, you can't say that they're trying to reinvent the wheel, but they have have a way of, with that sort of wheel, kind of spin it around a little bit to at least to their own liking and try something a little bit different that will definitely challenge a little bit of the listener's tastes. Even if it's not something that might be into, still they have no problem kind of challenging that, and I kind of find that very interesting. That's different. So very kudos to these guys for trying this kind of stuff. So that pretty much ends my entire thoughts, because this is still a very solid metal album from beginning to end, and they definitely have some ideas. And I think, though, I wouldn't say that's not completely realized here, but I can just tell that with each release, if they do more full-length albums, they'll definitely start really bringing these more up front and everything, and make it more realized. The sort of combinations and stuff. So they have some ideas here, and so just great stuff, though, overall. So there we go. There is my thoughts on the debut full-length album from Lycanthro, Mark of the Wolf. And so my rating is, since I have it all written down here, I'm giving it a 8.17 out of 10. And again, it's a very solid album from beginning to end. And there's just really not really a moment where I can say that is actually bad. Even the stuff that kind of challenges a little bit of the list, especially me who was listening to this album and who felt a little bit challenged. I definitely, again, I give kudos to Lycanthro for trying that. So if you have no problem being challenged here and there, even though you like classic traditional heavy metal, but if you have no problem being challenged on that sort of genre, and you like Lizzie Borden, and you like Sabotage, I'm going to leave you a link to not just their Bandcamp page where you can listen to the album, but I'm going to leave you a link to their Big Cartel page so you can actually buy this album physically on CD. So with that, again, I hope you definitely support Lycanthro. So with that, I hope all of you enjoyed this Heavy Thrasher saying I'm out. I'll see you all later. Take care, everyone.